standing before you all today on this wonderful day of the Lord, the high Sabbath, which we know as the Feast of Tabernacles, the first day. Just want to thank the Lord for allowing us to be here today and have understanding on what it is we are doing. This is the Feast of Tabernacles that was given to the children of Israel when they came out of the wilderness. And this signifies something that meant something a lot more than just physical. This was something that we were supposed to keep throughout our generations. We were supposed to teach our kids this, so that way when they got older, you can have a seat, go and sit down. That way when they got older, they'll teach their kids what it's all about. And we're supposed to keep this before our eyes, so when we do pass away, it'll be passed on to our family, and they'll pass it on to their family. And eventually everybody will gonna turn back to the law of the Lord. However, today, the Feast of Tabernacles points to the day that the Lord gonna gather his scattered elect that he got throughout all four corners of the earth. This people we know that are in captivity today, they are in another land, and this happened because of our forefathers' disobedience. And by us being under the plight of what our forefathers did, we are in captivity. We are in exile today. And we are under the plight of all the things that the Lord put on us according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, also Leviticus 26. All the different curses that the Lord said was going to happen to the children of Israel, we are experiencing those curses. And we are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth because of what happened with our forefathers. However, there's a good outcome to this, and the good outcome to us being scattered is the Lord is going to gather his elect from all four corners of the earth. And with that being said, that's why we keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Another name for the Feast of Tabernacles is called the Ingathering. And when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, this is one of the days they had to keep in the 7th month. On the 15th day of the month, they had to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And this is in the last month, okay? And what this represents, see, during this time they would gather in, they would harvest and gather in whatever they planted during this time. And it represented something. They were physically gathered in, but it pointed to us being gathered when Christ gets back. And like I say, this is the reason why we're keeping this. To be reminded that the Lord is going to come and gather his people from no matter where we scattered at. We are scattered throughout all four corners of the earth. We don't know who we are according to the scriptures. He said that was going to happen too. And we just woke up one day and in somebody else's land. But that's just a part of the curses. And, we're a long way from our borders. But that is something that the Lord put on us. But like I say, the good part about that is that he is going to gather us from all the places we were sold. We're going to look at that today. So the title of this lesson is called Ingathering of the Scattered, a.k.a. Feast of Tabernacles. Ingathering of the Scattered, also known as Feast of Tabernacles. Get up beside me. You don't need to go to sleep. We finna eat and y'all going to be having a good time. So we're going to go through this lesson right quick so we can get a quick understanding on it. Then we're going to eat some physical food because I am hungry. Okay? I am hungry. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to do this lesson. We're going to eat some physical food. All right, so let's go into the book of Leviticus 23, and let's see when this was first given and see what it points to. We're going to go to Leviticus 23, and we're going to pick it up at verse 34. Leviticus 23 and verse 34. And I have been thinking about this lesson for like a whole 2 weeks since the last time we had class. That was the first thing I went into because, this is our first year keeping the feast, together as a church starting out. And, but this is like my third time or fourth time keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. But when you have to teach it, it's a totally different story. You got to really get understanding on it. So, as we grow, I'm getting understanding on it also. So Leviticus 23, and we're going to pick it up at verse 34. And go ahead, bro.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying,
Go ahead.
The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles, for 7 days unto the Lord.
Go ahead.
On the first day shall be in holy convocation.
Right, so that's what we're doing today. This is the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles, and we coming together having a holy convocation. Go ahead and read.
Ye shall do no servile work therein.
That's right. Go ahead, brother. 7
days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
All right, skip down to verse 39.
Also in the 15th day of the 7th month,
go ahead,
when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days.
Right, so during this time, it says in the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruit. That's the key word to this. When you have gathered in the fruit. And that's what it's pointing to something a lot bigger than what we see right now. But notice something. He said, when you have gathered in the fruit, go ahead and read.
On the first day shall be a Sabbath. And on
Come back, bro. Where you at? Come back up.
Oh, okay. Ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath.
Now, read the beginning of 39 again, bro.
Also in the 15th day of the 7th month,
go ahead,
when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days.
Go ahead.
On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath.
Right, so we here on the first day, keeping this Sabbath, which is the Feast of Tabernacles. We keeping that, which is also a gathering, all right, which points to a gathering that's going to take place at a set time when Jesus returns. So, now let's go to Deuteronomy 16. Deuteronomy chapter 16. Let's look at another name for this. Deuteronomy chapter 16. Because, see, the whole world, brothers and sisters, are asleep to what's going on. It's few of us keeping the Feast of Tabernacles, but you have all these people around the world saying that they love the Lord, but they don't keep what's in the book. See, the Lord set up feast days and holy days for us to understand His plan of salvation. All the way down, the first feast we had what? Passover, Feast of Passover, which points to the Lord being a Passover for our sins. Okay? And being able to come back into being a God which He originally planned for. So He was our Passover. Alright? Then we came down to Feast of Unleavened Bread. And then we come down from Feast of Unleavened Bread to what? The Feast of Weeks. Pentecost. Let you know that Lord's going to return at a set time during the 50th year. Then after that, we went to the what? Memorial blowing of the trumpets. So once we got the blowing of the trumpets are what? Giving you, I guess you can say, an alarm. Or He letting you know what's getting ready to take place. Before the Lord before they went to war, before you go to war, they always sound a trumpet. Let you know what was getting ready to come after that. All right, but that was your warning. And that's why we kept the memorial of blowing the trumpet. And then we kept what? The Day of Atonement. Why? Because Christ was an atonement for our sins. I feel like I'm in atonement right now because I ate them. But, praise the Lord. So now, we in the last feast, the 7th month, on the 15th day, on the first day of Holy Convocation, we're keeping now the Feast of Tabernacles. And most of the world is asleep right now, not paying attention to this day. This is the day when the Lord Christ is going to set foot on this earth and gather His elect from all four corners of the earth. All right? So now, we're going to go and look at another name for this. Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 12, brother. Go and pick it up.
And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in Egypt. And thou shalt observe and do these statutes.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days.
13, it says, thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. Go ahead.
After that, thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine.
After you have gathered in your corn and your wine. Go ahead and read, bro.
And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast.
So we supposed to rejoice in this feast. Understand something, brother. This is a great feast that the Lord has set up for us today. The Feast of Tabernacles, like I say, is a time that the Lord going to come back and gather His elect from all four corners of the earth. This is a joyous time. Go ahead and read.
Thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite, the stranger,
and the stranger. So all the nations supposed to be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. Go ahead and read.
And the fatherless, and the widow, that are within thy gates.
Come on.
7 days shall thou keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God.
Right, so it says 7 days shall thou keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God. Go ahead.
in the place which the Lord shall choose. Because the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thine increase.
Go ahead.
And in all the works of thy hands, therefore thou shalt surely rejoice.
Go ahead.
3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God.
So it say 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God. This wasn't no request. It say 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God. Go ahead.
In the place which he shall choose. In the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks.
Feast of unleavened bread, feast of weeks. Go ahead.
And in the feast of tabernacles.
And the feast of tabernacles. Go ahead and read.
And they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
That's right. So when you show up to the feast of the Lord, you got to make sure you come to help further the cause of these feast days. All right? Go ahead and read. Where you at?
17.
Go ahead.
Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord thy God, which have given thee.
Which he have given thee. All right, so be careful if y'all go to these Sunday churches and they use the scripture. Every man shall give. When they go to scripture and say you should not appear before the Lord empty. Now, if you ain't gonna appear before the Lord empty, make sure they serving you some food. All right, some real food. Watch these Sunday churches. They'll tell you don't appear before the Lord empty, but you ain't got no feast. You ain't got no food that they serving. This is a feast. You're supposed to eat. All right, now let's go look at it again. Go to Exodus 34. We're gonna pick it up at verse 1. All the feast days that the Lord did, like I say, he set it up for a purpose. And the purpose that he set up these feast days is a reminder of his return. And if we don't understand the feast day, we don't know what's going on. You keeping Christmas and Easter and all that type of stuff, it ain't got nothing to do with the Lord. But the holy days that the Lord set up all point to salvation. And it ends in the 7th month. The 7 represents what? Completion. All right, so Exodus 34 and verse 1.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Hew thee 2 tables of stone, like unto the first.
Go ahead.
And I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest.
Make sure y'all catch that. The Lord told Moses, hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and I will write upon these. Moses didn't write upon them. The Lord said, I will write upon these tables. Go ahead and read.
And be ready in the morning, and come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai, and present thyself there to me in the top of the mountain.
That's right. Now drop down to verse 17. Verse 18. Verse 18.
The feast of unleavened bread.
The feast of unleavened bread. Go ahead.
Shall thou keep. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread.
Go ahead.
As I commanded thee in the time of the month Abib.
Go ahead.
For in the month Abib thou camest out from Egypt.
Go ahead. Skip down to verse 22.
And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks.
And you're going to observe the feast of weeks. Go ahead.
Of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
Right, so we know that this is the last feast of the year. The last feast of the year, what did it say in 22? And the feast of ingathering at the year's end. So not only is this the Feast of Tabernacles, another name for this is the Feast of Ingathering. Because he going to gather the elect from all 4 corners of the earth, wherever they scattered at. That's why it's called ingathering. All right, 23, go ahead.
Thrice in the year shall all your men children appear before the Lord.
There it is again. 3 times in the year shall all your men children appear before the what?
The Lord God. The God of Israel.
The God of Israel, that's right. Now, let's go over to Isaiah 42. We got to look and see, how did these people get scattered? How did Israel get scattered into all the nations where we at right now? Isaiah 42. Isaiah 42, and we're going to pick it up at verse 18. We're going to try to run through this because I'm hungry. I get mad when I'm hungry, man. Goodness gracious. All that food we was cooking, I ain't eat nothing but cereal. Y'all got to excuse me, I'm kind of delirious right now. Isaiah 42 and verse 18, man.
Hear ye deaf, and look, ye blind, that ye may see.
So it said, hear ye deaf, and look ye blind, that ye may see. Go ahead and read.
Who is blind?
Who is blind? Come on.
But my servant.
But my servant. That servant is Israel. Go ahead. Who is blind but my servant Israel? Tell them you an Israelite. They say, no, I'm an African. Tell them the Lord was dealing with our forefathers. Say, nah, man, the Lord was dealing with those Jewish people. Who is blind and deaf but my servant? Go ahead and read.
Or deaf, as my messenger that I sent, who is blind as he that is perfect.
Go ahead.
And blind as the Lord's servant.
Come on.
Seeing many things, but thou observest not.
That's right. They see a lot of things, but they observe not. Go ahead.
Opening the ears, but he heareth not.
That's right. Go ahead and read.
The Lord is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honorable.
That's right. Come on.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled.
What the book say? This is a people robbed and spoiled. Everywhere you go into your neighborhood. Go into the hood and see who running the stores. See who taking spoil of you. This is a people robbed and spoiled. Go ahead and read, brother.
They are all of them snared in holes.
They're all snared in holes. You get out of one situation, you got another one sitting right there. Get out of one situation, there it is again. They're snared in holes. Go ahead and read.
And they are hid in prison house.
They're hid in church.
Prison house.
You sure they hid in the library, brother?
They are hid in prison house.
All you gotta do is check the prison system and see who's filling up the prison house. The book say they hid in prison house. Come on and read.
They are for a prey.
They are for a prey. That means they are hunted. That's why they shoot them down like dogs. They are for a prey. Go ahead and read, brother.
And none deliver.
And none deliver. Go ahead.
For a spoil, and none said restore.
Ain't nobody gonna give you reparations. How long we been trying to get reparations? For a long time. Ain't gonna happen. The book say none say restore. Japanese got reparation. Vietnamese got reparation. Israel ain't getting no reparation. Nobody says restore this people. Go ahead and read, bro.
Who gave Jacob for a spoil?
Who gave Jacob for a spoil? Who put Jacob in this condition? Another name for Jacob is Israel. Go ahead and read.
And Israel to the robbers.
Who gave Israel to the robbers? Come on.
Did not the Lord?
Did the white man do it?
Did not the Lord?
Who?
Did not the Lord?
The book say, did not the Lord do this? Go ahead and read.
He against whom we have sinned.
That's who we sinned against. And that's the problem. We got a lot of brothers kicking at the white man and all the other nationalities because of their condition. The book say, since you provoke me to jealousy, I'm going to provoke you to jealousy with a foolish nation. That's how the Lord works. He practical. You do what he say, then he going to bless you. You don't do what I say, I'm going to get you. Simple as that. Who gave Jacob for a spoil? Did not the Lord. Go ahead and read.
For they would not walk in his ways.
And they won't walk in his ways today. That's why they still getting vexed. Go ahead.
Neither were they obedient unto his law.
That's right. And it's that simple, brothers and sisters. All you got to do is keep the law. It's that simple. All right, now let's go over to Leviticus 26. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. Leviticus 26. Leviticus 26, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Leviticus 26, verse 1. Go ahead, brother.
Ye shall make you no idols, nor graven image.
That's right, come on.
Neither rear you up a standing image. Neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it.
Go ahead.
For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall keep my Sabbath.
You shall keep my Sabbath. That is a S on the back of that. It's plural. Not just the weekly Sabbath, but the holy days that the Lord set aside. He said, you shall keep my Sabbath. Come on.
And reverence my sanctuary.
And reverence my sanctuary. Go ahead.
I am the Lord.
I am Moses.
I am the Lord.
I am the Lord. Go ahead and read.
If ye walk in my statutes.
If ye walk in my statutes.
And keep my commandments.
And go ahead.
And do them.
And do them. Now, if you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, skip down to verse 14. Let's see what's going to happen.
But if ye will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, and if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my covenant,
what are you going to do?
I also will do this unto you.
Now, in verse 4, you come back to verse 4, he said, verse 3 said, if you walk in my commandments, walk in my statutes, keep my commandments, and do them, then I will give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. So we start going into the blessing. Now when you get down to verse 14, Then he hits you on the other side and let you know if you don't do them, if you would not hearken unto me and would not do all these commandments, and if you shall despise my statutes, and if your soul abhor my judgments. Abhor means to hate my judgments. Then I'm going to pour out upon you the curses. Now let's go look at some of them. Drop down to verse, where we at? Drop down to verse 30. Let's look at one of these curses.
And I will destroy your high places.
Go ahead.
And cut down your images. And cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols.
That's right. Come on.
And my soul shall abhor you.
So the Lord said he going to hate us. Go ahead and read.
And I will make your cities waste. And bring your sanctuaries unto desolation.
That's right. Go ahead.
And I will not smell the savior of your sweet odors.
That's right. So our cities are waste today. That's why we ain't in it. You got heathens in our land today. Right now our cities are waste because of our disobedience. Go ahead and read.
And I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies which dwell therein shall be astonished at it.
That's right. They're going to be astonished at it. Go ahead and read.
And I will scatter you among the heathen.
Oh, so now he's going to scatter you among the heathen. Go ahead.
And will draw out a sword after you. And your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste.
So brothers and sisters, when you see us dying down and get shot down, the book just said, and the Lord going to draw out a sword after you. This is why this going on with us. The Lord drawing out a sword after us. But notice what he said. He said, I will scatter you among the heathen. That's how we got over here. The Lord scattered us. All right, so now let's go over to Luke 21. Go over to Luke chapter 21. And the Lord said he was going to scatter us among the heathen. That was Jesus talking in the Old Testament. So we got to look at what he said when he came in the New Testament. We see in Luke 21, they asked him during the time when the disciple was talking to him, they was asking him some questions when they built this certain temple. They was trying to show the Lord the temple. And he basically told them, you know, ain't no sense in you being excited about the temple because it's going to be destroyed. So they asked him, what's going to be the sound of your coming and the end of the world? And he going to let them know what's going to take place. All right? Luke 21. Let's see what the Lord said. Pick it up at verse 20.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem encamped with armies.
So when you see Jerusalem compassed about with armies, this took place in 7 AD, when they dug a trench around the whole city and trapped the Israelites inside Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
Then know that the desolation thereof is near.
Right, so when you see this, know that the desolation thereof is near. Go ahead and read, brother.
Then let them which are in Judea and flee to the mountains.
That's right, go ahead.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
That's right, because it's going to be a bad time. So during this time, the Lord was letting them know, when you see this sign, don't come into the country. I mean, don't come into the city. If you're in the country, stay out. If you're in the city, get out. Flee into the mountains. Because this is the time when the Romans came through Israel. And they sacked Jerusalem in 70 AD. It's history. All you got to do is look it up. Go and read.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
That's right. And one of the things that had to be fulfilled was Israel going into captivity, the last 3 tribes. Go ahead and read, brother.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck. In those days,
that's right.
For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
Go ahead.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations.
They shall be led away captive into all nations. Didn't we see it? Didn't we just read that he was going to scatter you among the heathen?
Right.
Now he coming in. Now he in the flesh, and he's saying that Israel is going to be scattered among all nations. But how long, brother?
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down.
Jerusalem going to be trodden down. So you're going to have other people in the land of Jerusalem, our land, other people going to be in there. That's what trodden down means. Go ahead and read.
Of the Gentiles.
Of the Gentiles. So you got the Gentiles that run everything right now, and they also running that land over there. But how long?
Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Because when the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, that's when the Lord going to return. So until that time, we still in captivity. Our land is still being trodden down. Ain't no sense in even going back. You still going to be considered second class, if not third class. Go and read.
And there shall be signs in the sun.
There going to be signs in the sun. Go ahead.
And in the moon.
And in the moon. Come on.
And in the stars. And upon the earth distress of nations.
That's right. So when the times of the Gentile be fulfilled, then it's going to be signs in the sun and in the moon. What does this represent? This represents the coming of the Lord. So when the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled, then that's when we coming out of captivity. Until that time, you might as well just make yourself comfortable. Go ahead, read.
With perplexity, the sea and the waves roared.
Go ahead.
Men's hearts falling them for fear.
Failing them for fear. Go ahead.
And for looking after those things which are coming on the earth.
Go ahead.
For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory.
That's right. So at this time, then we're going to see the coming of the Lord. Now, let's go over to Deuteronomy 28. And let's see how we was going to get scattered. Deuteronomy chapter 28. All this is written for the time that we're in right now, brothers and sisters. The Lord knew that he was going to put a spirit on the children of Israel to wake up and turn back to the Most High God. And our job, once we got up, was to be a light to the nations. But he knew this was going to happen, but he left what? He left a book for us to be able to go to and see what took place. And also you can see this type of God that they were serving and understand that this God was not playing. He wasn't playing then, he ain't playing now. It's just that he long suffering. He giving everybody a chance, because once he stop it, that's it. All right? Deuteronomy 28, we're going to pick it up at verse 64. And go ahead.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
So the Lord going to scatter you among all people. Come on.
From the one end of the earth.
From one end of the earth.
Even unto the other.
That's right. Go ahead.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Go ahead.
Even wood and stone.
That's right. Come on.
And among these nations shall thou find no ease.
So you going to go into these nations where the Lord going to scatter you. You ain't going to find no ease. You ain't going to find no ease. It may, some of the stuff may come up off us a little bit once we start keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. We can find a little bit of peace, a little bit of rest, and knowing that we gonna get gathered at a set time. But for the most part, we in captivity. Ain't nothing you can do about that until the Lord get back. When he get back, then he bringing you out. But that's what this Feast of Tabernacles or Feast of Ingathering is pointing to. Go ahead and read.
Neither shall the sole of the foot have rest.
That's right. But always be going through something. Always be going through something. When you get to start in Deuteronomy 28, pick it up at verse 15 and read it all the way down, you will see some of the things that the Lord said was going to happen. And it sure enough happened to this people. Go ahead and read, brother.
But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes.
Go ahead.
And sorrow of mind.
That's right, brother. Go ahead and read.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee.
That's right. Your life gonna hang in doubt. All you gotta do is drive down the street, let the police get behind you. You hanging in doubt. You don't know what's gonna happen. You hanging in doubt. You hanging in doubt. Other nations don't feel that way. They get out the car and cuss the police out. We can't do that. We ride down the street, ain't got your seatbelt on. You see a police behind you, slowly pulling that thing over you to put it on. Because you don't know if you gonna go to jail or you gonna get killed. And the time we in right now, they picking up the killing. The worse we get, the more and more the Lord send this sword out. Go ahead and read, brother.
And thou shalt fear day and night.
You gonna fear day and night. Come on.
And shall have no assurance of thy life.
You ain't gonna have none assurance of thy life. Come on and read.
In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even.
That's right, because in the morning, they had to go out in them fields and they had to work. They had to work. And they was waiting for the evening time so they can get off. Go ahead and read.
And at evening thou shalt say, would God it were morning.
So when the evening time came, they was hoping it would be morning. Why? Because that's when they came through hanging and lynching. But you ain't gonna find no rest. This is something that was done by the Most High God. This scattering, this captivity was done by the Most High God. This is a perfect curse. Go ahead and read.
For the fear of thy heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thy eyes which thou shalt see.
That's right. Go ahead and read, brother.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Right. So now the Lord is telling you what type of transportation he going to use to take you back into captivity. He said he's going to take you into Egypt again with ships. Now he's not talking about the previous Egypt. He's talking about a worldwide captivity now. He said the Lord going to send you into Egypt again with ships. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
Just like he said we was going into captivity by ships, that's how we got here. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
You're not going to see the previous Egypt. Go ahead, read.
There ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
And you're going to be sold unto your friends.
You will be sold unto your enemies.
You're going to be sold unto your enemies. Stop trying to do what the world do. They're your enemies because they don't serve your God. I don't care what nationality they are. They're not serving the God in this book. That's an enemy. And that's the problem with Israel. We always want to go along with the world, and we end up getting whooped more than everybody else. Because the Lord say He's going to punish us 7 times more. Go ahead and read, brother.
For bondmen and bondwomen.
So you're going to be sold for bondmen, male slave. Go ahead. Bondwoman, female slave. Come on.
And no man shall buy you.
And ain't no man going to free you. Martin Luther King, I have a dream speech, ain't going to get you out of captivity. Malcolm X ain't going to get you out of captivity. Marcus Garvey ain't going to get you out of captivity. Ben Amin ain't getting you out of captivity. Now, let's go look. So we see that these people got scattered into captivity. Now we got to see about these people being gathered. And this is what this represents. That's why it's called Ingathering of the Scattered, a.k.a. Feast of Tabernacles. So let's go over to Jeremiah 31. And let's go see who's going to do this gathering. Oh, I'm sorry. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Jump right over to Deuteronomy 30. And matter of fact, see, the thing about this Deuteronomy chapter 30, it's so precise, but the kind of God we serve is a God that called the end from the beginning. The things that's starting to happen with Israel now today is something that the Lord had already called before we even came into existence. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Deuteronomy 30 and verse 1. What it say, brother?
It shall come to pass.
It's going to come to pass.
When all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curses.
Go ahead.
Which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations.
That's right. So the blessing and the curse the blessing and the curse which He set before us, we're gonna call it to mind among all the nations where the Lord scattered us at, and that's what's happening. That's why we starting to wake up. We calling this thing to mind. We starting to realize that the Bible was talking about the children of Israel that are in captivity today. Go and read.
Whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee.
Wherever He drove you at, you're gonna start calling it to mind. Go ahead and read.
And shall return unto the Lord thy God.
So notice the steps that's finna take place. You're going to call it to mind, and you're going to return it to the Lord your God. Go ahead.
And shall obey His voice.
And shall obey His voice. See, He's letting you know the process of His return. But you got to pay attention to what we read. Go ahead and read, brother.
According to all that I command thee this day. Thou and thy children with all thy heart.
That's right, go ahead.
And with all thy soul. That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee.
Right, so that's what we're doing right now. We turning, then we get our kids, we bring it to our families start turning, and then what He say? Then the Lord thy God gonna turn your captivity. In other words, then He gonna bring us out of captivity. But He's not talking about physical here. He's talking about spiritual. That's why the book say you shall know the truth, and the truth gonna make you free. So once you come into the truth and wake up and start turning, then the Lord start taking the bondage off of your mind. And Satan got the whole world in bondage right now. That's why most of the world ain't keeping Feast of Tabernacles. Go ahead and read, brother.
And will return and gather thee from all the nations.
You skip something, brother. Bring it back up to the beginning of verse 3.
That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee.
Right, so then He's going to have compassion upon you once you start turning back, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Go ahead.
And will return and gather thee from all the nations.
Now He's going to return and gather you from all the nations. Now this is physical. First He's going to turn your captivity spiritually first. He's going to take the chains off. Then He's going to come back physically and gather you from everywhere you were sold. Go ahead and read.
Whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee.
That's right. So wherever He scattered you at, then He's going to come back and get you from wherever you've been scattered. All right, now let's go to, that's it on that.
If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee.
Right, so He also considered this the heaven because this is the first heaven. He is scattered throughout this first heaven. Go ahead.
And from thence will He bring thee.
Will He fetch thee?
And from thence.
What you gonna say? Oh, wow. Wow, mine say fetch. Well, I didn't say, okay. All right, so now let's go to what's the name? Let's go with Jeremiah 31. Let's go see who this is that's going to do this gathering. Do this gathering. Jeremiah 31. We're going to pick it up at verse 10. One verse. Jeremiah 31 and verse 10. get it. Go ahead.
Hear the word of the Lord, O ye nations,
go ahead.
And declare it in the isles afar off.
That's right. Go ahead.
And say,
go ahead.
He that scattered Israel,
what he gonna do?
Will gather him.
He gonna gather him and do what? And
keep him as a shepherd doeth his flock.
That's right. So when he gathered Israel this time, he gonna keep them as a shepherd does his flock. But he that scattered Israel is the one that's gonna gather Israel. All right. So now let's go to Matthew 24. Matthew 24. Matthew 24, I'm going to pick it up at 29. And this is after the 3.5 years tribulation that the son of perdition or the beast and the false prophet are going to have time to go throughout this whole world for 3.5 years. And after this time, that's when we're going to see the coming of the Lord. Matthew 24 and 29. What does it say, brother? Immediately after the tribulation of those days. After the tribulation of those days. Go ahead. Shall the sun be darkened. Shall the sun be darkened. Go ahead. And the moon shall not give her light. So then we just read about that in Luke. Go ahead and read. And the stars shall fall from heaven. And the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. That's right. Come on. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Go ahead. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. Wow. Yeah, 30. Yeah. Whoa. Mine says they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Just like, hold up, bro. I need to get one of those. Yeah, we're gonna have to go with this one. So we can stay on the same page because it's throwing y'all. Okay. All right, so we're pick it up at 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened. Go ahead. And the moon shall not give her light. And the stars shall fall from heaven. And the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. That's right. Go ahead. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth, and they shall see the Son of... All the tribes of the earth going what? Earth mourn. Right, so this is after the Great Tribulation. That's when you're going to see the coming of the Lord. Tribulation ain't took place yet. So anybody tell you that the Lord coming back, he can come back at any time, that's a lie. He can't come back any time. The Lord got things set up, and he got a protocol that has to happen in order for him to come back. The book say immediately after the tribulation of those days. What tribulation? The Great Tribulation that's getting ready to come up on this world. But we still got some time. Go and read. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. That's right. Go and read. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. What they going to do? And they shall gather together. So they going to gather together after the tribulation. They going to gather what? His elect. His elect. So this is Israel that he going to gather. Go and read. From the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. That's right. So y'all know we ain't sitting in heaven. We on the earth. Right. All right? It's 3 heavens that the book talks about. All right? This is the heaven that he's going to gather us from. All right? So now let's go over to what's the name? But this is after the Great Tribulation. All right? So now let's go over to Isaiah 27. Because whether you like it or not, you ain't getting out of being gathered. The Lord said he turned his face on Israel. However, he didn't put away the children of Israel forever. He made a covenant with our forefather Abraham, and he's sticking to it in that deal. There wasn't no wrong with the law. It's just that we broke the law. So he didn't change the covenant. He just came in the flesh, but everything else still is in effect. When he came in effect, when he came and died, he did away with the sacrificial law. But everything else still in effect. Keep the Sabbath day, still in effect. Thou shalt not kill, still in effect. Thou shalt not commit adultery, still in effect. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, still in effect. Dietary law, still in effect. It wasn't the law that was a problem. That's why Paul says the law sinned. God forbid. It was man that was the problem. Israel was the one that wanted to serve other God. They wanted a physical God in front of them. They wanted somebody just like they told Samuel, get us a king. But we had a true and living God. And the true and living God got us in this, put us in this situation because of our disobedience. Go and read. Where we at? Isaiah 29? Isaiah 27 verse 12. Go ahead. And it shall come to pass in that day. Right, so this is during the time that the Lord is going to come back. What's going to happen? That the Lord shall beat
off from the channel of the river until the stream of Egypt.
That's right, go ahead.
And ye shall be gathered one by one.
Right, so we just saw that the angels going to gather the elect. The scripture say he going to gather them one by one. When you read up in the, when you go back and read throughout the Bible, you'll see that you're going to even have other nations bringing Israel up. Because in order for them to receive salvation, or for them to be pardoned, they got to bring an Israelite. Go ahead and read.
And ye children of Israel.
Oh, ye
children of Israel.
That's right. So this is addressing the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day.
It's going to come to pass in that day. Go ahead.
That the great trumpet shall be blown. And they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria.
That's right. So what trumpet we talking about? We talking about the last trumpet, which announces the coming of the Lord. That's why we just read about a trumpet that was going to sound. And when that trumpet sounds, after the great tribulation, after that time, during the great tribulation, after this is done, then that's when we're going to see the coming of the Lord. Once we see the coming of the Lord, then the angels going to come and gather Israel from all four corners of the earth. This is why we are keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. This is what this points to. Go and read.
And the outcasts in the land of Egypt. And shall worship the Lord in the holy mount of at Jerusalem.
That's right. Now, let's go over to Ezekiel 47. We're running through it, brothers. Ezekiel 47. Let's go see what's going to take place once he take you into the land. That's if you didn't get your spiritual body. If you didn't get your spiritual body, then you're going to be gathered. If you got your spiritual body, you're going to be gathered too, but you're going to be caught up in the air to meet the Lord. And he's going to bring you back down to fight that war of Armageddon. And you're going to dwell with the Lord forever as a God. But if you did not make this first resurrection, you're going to be gathered from no matter where you at. So, Ezekiel 47, and pick it up at verse 21. And go ahead.
So shall ye divide this land until you're according to the tribes of Israel.
Right, so now the children of Israel in the land at this time when Christ get back, you say you're going to divide the land, this land according, no, you're going to divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. All right, so how many tribes is it? 12. So they're going to divide this land according to the children of Israel. Come on and read.
And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you.
So you're going to divide this by lot for an inheritance unto you, and who else?
And to the strangers that sojourn among you.
Oh, so it's going to be strangers also dwelling among the children of Israel when Jesus get back. I killed that doctrine about matter of fact, read a little further and we'll see what it says.
Which shall beget children among you.
So they're going to do what?
Beget children
among the Israelites? Brothers don't read this. They so set on getting rid of the white man, boy. They're going to end up in that lake of fire. They better read this book. Go and read, brother.
And they shall be unto you as born in the country.
They're going to be unto you as one born in your country. So they're going to be serving your God. They're going to be considered an Israelite. Come on and read.
Among the children of Israel.
That's right. Go ahead.
They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel.
The book say they're going to have inheritance also. These are other nationalities that's going to have inheritance with the children of Israel. Brothers don't read this, but I guarantee when we hit the streets, we're going to make sure we read this. Go and read.
And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the strangers sojourneth.
So whatever tribe that stranger sojourneth in, go ahead.
There shall ye give him his inheritance, saith the Lord God.
That's right. This coming out the book. Brothers ain't reading this, man. They don't want this God to be for nobody else. But why is this even talking about other people? Let's go read and see why this is talking about other nationalities. Because is he just going to gather Israel? We got to go find out and see. Let's go over to Isaiah 56 and 1. And we got two places after this and we done. Not trying to rush, but I got to eat something. Isaiah 56 and 1. Why? Get the markers in the rib. Pull that rib. Isaiah 56 and verse 1. And when you get to go and read.
Thus saith the Lord, keep ye judgment,
go ahead,
and do justice. For my salvation is near to come.
That's right. So this ain't took place yet. It says, thus saith the Lord, keep ye judgment and do justice. Come on.
And my righteousness to be revealed.
That's right. Go ahead.
Blessed is the man that doeth this.
Blessed is the man that doeth this, not the Israelite. They say, blessed is the man that doeth this. Go ahead.
And the Son of Man that layeth hold on it.
And the Son of Man that layeth hold on what?
That keepeth the Sabbath from polluting.
That layeth hold on the Sabbath and keep the Sabbath from polluting. Go ahead, read.
And keepeth his hand from doing any evil.
That's right. Come on and read.
Neither let the son of the stranger.
So the book say, neither let the son of the stranger. Strangers are nationalities who are not a part of Israel. So the book say, neither let the son of the stranger. Go ahead.
That have joined himself to the Lord.
That have joined himself to the Lord. How does the stranger join himself to the Lord? By coming up under the commonwealth of Israel and doing what our God say do. Go ahead, read.
Speak, saying,
go ahead.
The Lord hath utterly separated me from his people.
That's right. So strangers shouldn't be saying the Lord has utterly separated me from his people. But you got brothers making other nationalities feel like the Lord separated them from his people. The book just said, neither let the son of the stranger that have joined himself to the Lord speak, saying the Lord have utterly separated me from his people. So we should be making people feel like they can't serve our God. Go and read, brother.
Neither let the eunuch say,
neither let the eunuch, come on.
Behold, I am a dry tree.
That's right, go and read.
For thus say the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbath.
So the Lord say unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbath, go ahead.
And choose the things that please me.
That's right, come on.
And take hold of my covenant.
That's right, so all the people that take hold of the Lord's covenant, no matter who you are, go and read.
Even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters.
That's right. So he said he gonna give the other people names better than of sons and of daughters for keeping his law, statutes, and commandments. That's what people gotta understand. Just because you Israel in the flesh, don't mean you getting in. If you ain't doing what the book says, Lord will cut you off. Israel just got adopted first. That's all. Once he adopted Israel, our job was to teach the other nations. All the sons of Adam what it take to get salvation. But let's see how these people gonna end up in the land, getting an inheritance of the tribes. Go ahead and read.
I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off.
That's right. Come on and read.
Also the sons of the strangers.
Also the sons of the strangers. Go ahead.
That join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord.
Go ahead.
To be his servants. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it and taketh hold of my covenant.
So the sons of the strangers that join themselves to the Lord to be his servants and keep the Sabbath from polluting it. The Sabbath day is very important. Y'all make sure y'all pay attention to that. Go ahead and read.
Even then will I bring to my holy mountain.
Even then will I bring to my holy mountain. These are strangers he talking about. Go ahead and read.
And make them joyful in my house
and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Go ahead.
Their burnt offerings.
Their burnt offering. Go ahead.
And their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar.
Go ahead and read.
For my house shall be called an house of prayer for all people.
For some people.
For all people.
For just Israel.
Prayer for all people.
Go ahead and read, brother.
The Lord God which gathered the outcasts of Israel.
So the Lord God which gathered the outcasts of Israel, the Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Ingathering, represents him gathering his elect from all four corners of the earth. What else he gonna do?
Yet will I gather others to him.
Oh, so he gonna gather others also. So it ain't just for us to pay attention to this day. All nations need to be paying attention to the Feast of Tabernacles. Because he said, I'm going to gather others also. Go and read, brother.
Besides those that are gathered unto him.
That's right. Besides the children of Israel, the Lord going to gather others also and bring them into Jerusalem. And that's what it's pointing to. And we have to go there to make sure people understand that. Watch us online. And make sure you understand that the Lord ain't focused on just Israel. The Lord focused on all mankind. Israel's job is just to teach all the nations what it takes to get salvation. So if you're making a eunuch feel like he can't get salvation, then you're going to be the one that end up in that lake of fire. You don't turn nobody away from our God. We're supposed to turn all mankind to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So let's go over to Ezekiel 37 right quick. Ezekiel 37, we're going to pick it up at verse 24. One more after this and we're done. Ezekiel 37, we're going to pick it up at verse 24. When you get to go and read.
And David my servant shall be king over them.
Right, so this is during the time after the first once the first resurrection takes place. Because it say David gonna be king over them. David dead. This is talking about when the first resurrection takes place. David gonna be alive at this time. He gonna be immortal. Go ahead and read.
And they all shall have one shepherd.
They're going to have one shepherd. Come on.
They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes.
They're going to walk in my judgment and observe my statutes. Go ahead.
And do them.
And do them. He didn't say, I'm going to ask you. He said, you're going to do them. Go ahead and read.
And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob, my servant.
That's right. Go ahead.
Wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever.
Go ahead.
And my servant David shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them.
Go ahead.
It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore.
And what else is going to take place? 27.
My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yeah, I will be their God, and they shall be my people.
So this tabernacle where the Lord going to gather everybody, it's going to be among the people. All the ones he scattered, and all the ones that choose to serve this God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're going to be up in Jerusalem. And this tabernacle is going to be among them. Alright, so now let's go over to Zechariah 14, this last place. We got to look at what's going to take place if you don't keep the Feast of Tabernacles. All these feast days that the Lord set aside for us to observe, they mean a lot. And the Lord expects us to keep these feast days. The world right now is just, they pardoning it up. Just like the scripture said, just like in the days of Noah. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. What was going on in the days of Noah? Noah was preaching to them, telling them, hey, get it together. But they didn't believe Noah. You know why they believed Noah? Because they hadn't seen rain before. So by them not seeing rain before, they kept on doing what they was doing. They kept on playing and kept on, getting themselves involved in wickedness. The same thing that's going on today. We sound their alarm, we bring the gospel. We let them know about the feast days, how we're supposed to keep these days. These days are not requests. These are requirements. But everybody done did away with the book, that they put more emphasis on vain doctrines and commandments of men. And this is what we're supposed to be doing. If we can open up the book and show you what it is we're doing, then you should join along with us. All right, so Zechariah 14 and verse 1, what does it say, brother?
Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoils shall be divided in the midst of thee.
Go ahead and read.
For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem
so
to battle.
When he get back, he ain't going to just gather us, he going to gather all nations too. To Jerusalem to battle. Against Jerusalem to battle. Go ahead and read.
And the city shall be taken.
And the city shall be taken. Go ahead.
And the houses rifled.
So this is Jerusalem. So that's why it ain't best to be in Jerusalem at this time. Right. Because Jerusalem going to catch it. It got to go down. Before we can go back in the land, it got to go down. So I ain't going to let them, all that wickedness that's going over in Jerusalem, you think he's going to come set his tabernacle up over there now? It ain't going to happen. When he get back, he's going to destroy Jerusalem. Then he's going to have it built back up. And it's going to be set up according to righteousness. But we see here, I gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and what else?
And the women ravished.
And the women raped. Go ahead and read.
And half of the city shall go forth into captivity.
That's right, come on.
And the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city.
That's right, go ahead.
Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle.
That's right, go ahead.
And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives.
That's right, his feet gonna stand that day on the Mount of Olives. Go ahead.
Which is before Jerusalem on the east.
That's right, go ahead.
And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west.
That's right, go ahead.
And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north,
that's right,
and half of it toward the south.
That's right, go ahead.
And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azar. Yeah, ye shall flee like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee.
Right, so these are the saints that was caught up in the air to meet him. These are the ones that's coming down in Jerusalem to fight the other nations. But these saints going to come with him, and they're going to whoop these nations. They're going to take them out. But what else gonna happen? Skip down to verse 9.
And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one.
That's right. So all these other names that we got, all these other gods that we serve, God of Christmas, God of East, and all that type of stuff, it ain't happening no more. It's gonna be one God and one Lord, one name. But it said he's gonna be king over what?
All the earth.
So I thought we was going to heaven. He said he's gonna be king over all the earth. That's why he told you how to pray. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth, as it is in heaven. Alright, so skip down to verse 16.
And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year.
Right, so a lot of people going to die at this time, during this time of Armageddon, and also before that, the Great Tribulation, a lot of people going to die. That's why the book say man going to be like gold. When you see you see a man, it's going to be a man, also a woman, but it's going to be amazing to see a man. It's going to be like fine and precious gold, because that's how many people are going to die during the Great Tribulation and also this war of Armageddon. Alright? So it said the nations that are left, all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall do what?
To worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
Right, so they're going to go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This when Jesus get back. This when Jesus is king over this earth. Go ahead and read, brother.
And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem.
So all the families who do not come up unto Jerusalem, all the families of the earth, not just Israel. Everybody got to come up to keep this Feast of Tabernacles. Because the Feast of Tabernacles, when Jesus get here, is still not done. Because he's still gathering folks. But he's gathering folks for the 8th day, which we're going to celebrate next week. But we'll talk about that next week. Go and read.
To worship the King.
To worship the King, come on.
The Lord of hosts. Even upon them shall be no rain.
That's right. So you don't come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, the Lord ain't going to let it rain on your crops. You ain't getting no water. That's literal water. He said you don't come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles of all families of the earth, you ain't going to get no rain wherever you at. But let's see what else he said. Go and read, 18.
And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not,
go ahead,
that have no rain.
Right, so if y'all don't come up, the ones who ain't got no rain, you still don't decide to come up. What's going to take place?
There shall be the plague.
There shall be the plague. We got to find out what this plague is. Go ahead and read.
Wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen.
He gonna kill them. Go ahead and read.
That come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
So y'all see how important this Feast of Tabernacles is? Y'all see that? Y'all see how important it is? Don't let it be the simple fact that you don't see Jesus in the because you don't see Jesus now. Don't think that it's not important. It's important, but that's your faith. What James says, show me your work. I show you my show me your works. I show you my faith and my works. I show you my faith by my works. So what are one of the works we doing? We observing the Feast of Tabernacles. So don't think just because you don't see him, he ain't watching you. Go ahead and read.
This shall be the punishment of
Egypt. This shall be the punishment of Egypt. Go ahead.
And the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
That's right, brothers and sisters. So that's it. Everyone who don't come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, Lord's going to kill them when he gets here. But as for us, we are keeping the Feast of Tabernacles because it is a commandment and we understand what it is we're doing. So, I thank you for your time. That's the title lesson, Ingathering of the Scattered, a.k.a. Feast of Tabernacles. Hope somebody got some understanding. I thank you for your time. Alright, so we're gonna close out. We're gonna close out and we're gonna baptize Sister Tiana today. Praise the Lord.